So guys, Jordan here. Today we are joined by Frankie, who's the owner of Lunax Digital. Frankie is a member of the Affluent Academy and she is absolutely bossing it right now. So Frankie, I'm really excited to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Love it. And so we like to start these interviews by a little bit of backstory so people can get a feel for who you are and where you've come from. So can you kind of bring us up to date about what you were doing before you started your agency and then what led you to actually becoming where you are today? So why did you want to start your agency in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been interested in marketing since I was like 14, 15. I remember in my business studies GCSE, we had to do a coursework on rebranding a chocolate bar. So it was all about like the price, the product, the place, all the like P's of marketing and all of that. And I was just like, I love this because it was creative, but strategic as well. And I think my brain's got both sides. So I was quite lucky that I was so young and knew I wanted to work in marketing. So then I did like business A-levels, went to study business at Cardiff University, did business and marketing, and then got a job in an advertising agency when I was 22. Okay. And it was quite traditional because this is back then a few years ago, kind of before social media marketing was a big thing really. So we did like TV ads, newspaper ads, radio ads, like all traditional advertising. And then because I was like the new young girl and social media was kind of coming out, they were like, oh, can you just look after social media? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. So I was thrown in the deep end. And I remember like creating my first Facebook ad. I didn't know what it was because this is years and years and years ago. So absolutely loved my job, loved everything about it. I was really happy working in marketing, kept getting like promotions and stuff. And then I got pregnant accidentally when I was 23.
Yeah.
And I was so scared, but I was in a relationship, we had a house, we'd been together a while, so everyone was like, do you know what, it's going to be fine. Yeah. So had the baby, she's in there now, she's nearly 5, and went back to work and was just like, I can't do this. Yeah. It's really hard juggling it all. So I picked up a couple of freelance clients, started making a bit of money in the evening, just doing like organic social media and email marketing and just a few bits and pieces, and realized that I could just give up my job and do that. Yep. So that was 4 years ago now. Gave up my job and started like, it was, and this is sort of one of the things I want to talk about. Back then, it was very much like freelance bits and pieces. And I had this dream to grow this agency, but I didn't really know how. So I was doing loads of freelance bits and pieces and kind of growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking, getting to a point where I needed to outsource and wanting to build a team. And then something would go wrong and I'd shrink it back down. And there was, a variety of reasons, imposter syndrome, some like a freelancer letting me down, which would then lead to me losing the client, and just, loads of things like that. So yeah, I kind of have been growing, shrinking. And I don't know if it's the same with actually, I think it is the same with other business owners, always having like shiny object syndrome and being like, actually, I'm going to start an e-commerce business, and actually I'm going to start this. So I had about 10 things on the go and I just wasn't focused on my agency or on what I wanted to grow into my agency. And then, over the last couple of years, kind of slowly pushed away other things. I've still got one other business, which is an app business that's about to launch a new app. But apart from that, it's just 90% focused on the agency now. So that's a bit of background about me and kind of how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you've really been through. You've been through a lot, and it's interesting because this is like it's exciting. It's different dynamics to lots of the other interviews we've done. I mean, like I've, as you'll know, I went to university, but I didn't actually finish with the degree. I got a certificate in higher education, but I actually got removed from my course because I got shiny object syndrome and started a business on the side. But I think you're probably the first person that's done one of these interviews which has actually got a business degree or business and marketing. And so I'd be really interested to know, like, how much of an influence you think that had on I mean, obviously, I'm sure that pushed you into the right direction, but do you feel like the skills and everything you learned in that degree, and be completely honest, are paramount to where you are today?
I don't know. sometimes I think I wish I had not gone, because I had like business ideas before. I had like a cake business and a mobile beauty business and a this, that, and the other business when I was like 18 in sixth form. And I always knew I would own my own business. And I thought, well, I did want to do that, but I think teachers and parents kind of pushed me to go to university because I was quite bright academically. So I went to university, but I was like, well, if I'm going to go, I'm going to do business because that's what I'm going to do when I'm older. And it was because I went to like a red brick uni as well. It was really academic, really theory based. And looking back, I don't know how much it helped me. I think it gave me a really strong understanding of like marketing strategy and maybe business strategy. But in terms of like the skills that I would say are really driving my business now, nobody's taught me sales, no, like actual sales. Nobody's taught me relationship building. Nobody's taught me like tenacity, like all of those things you need. You don't get taught that. And it's interesting because I actually lecture at a different university as well now in marketing, in digital marketing. And I've changed the course to make it all practical and entrepreneurial, because I came out of university with a business and marketing degree going, I don't know how to start a business and I don't really know how to do marketing. I just know all the theory. So I've made my course for my students all about practical skills, and if they want to go and be like a marketing freelancer or start a marketing business, I've made my course for my students like that. So in answer to the question, I don't regret going. I had the best time of my life. I met all my best friends, etc., etc. But in terms of the skills I learned, I think everything that's got me to where I am today has been on the job business learning.
Because you can ultimately, it's almost nice to hear that kind of validation, because I feel about very much the same way, even though I didn't study business or marketing. Like you very much learn in education, you learn the theory behind everything, and it's not until you actually do something. You could learn about Facebook ads for 2 years solid in theory, or you could run Facebook ads for a company for 2 weeks and you would learn more about it, like how to actually run successful Facebook ads in that first 2 weeks than you would in them 2 years of theory. But I think what you probably learned from uni, not even realizing, is definitely what I learned is life skills. And it's communicating with a lot of different people. And I think that subconsciously really helps you in a sales environment, because you moved into marketing as the marketing agency and you're doing the marketing. But when you launch an agency, I mean, you then have to jump into sales as well, which correct me if I'm wrong, was probably a bit of an alien thing for you. So how was that, like jumping into sales from actually doing the marketing, but then having to then turn and actually sell the service itself?
Yeah, it was really weird because one thing I didn't mention, my very first job before I started at the marketing agency for literally 2 months when I finished uni was in recruitment.
Oh, dog eat dog.
So I had like probably about 10 weeks of like intense on the phone sales, and I was just like, I hate this. And I literally one day went in and I was like, I'm not coming back, and left. So that was like my first job before my real first job. And so I just had in my head, I didn't make one sale. I didn't manage to keep anyone on the phone. So in my head, I was like, I can't do sales. I'm not a salesperson. So when I started the business, I was then like, I've told myself I can't do sales. How am I going to go and learn to do sales? And it was really hard to learn sales. What I found was my thing was all about like networking and relationship building, and the sales would come afterwards. In terms of like hard sales, and to be honest, I'm still not like great. Sometimes I have like cold sales calls where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then I'm like, what is going on with me? Because with like sales with people I know, or like warmer sales, is so easy, it comes so naturally to me, I can close everything. But with a cold sale, I still feel so like nervous inside. Like sales, just like real sales, just I really struggle with. So it's really hard going from that marketing to sales.
But what you've done, like with the communication thing, like that's the most important thing. And just to make you feel better, like it doesn't, like I consider myself a very good salesman, but I still like get nervous before a call. I still like sometimes, like I recorded a call. Like I bought this product in the store the other day, and I looked at them up online. I was like, I love this product. I want to run their ads. I found the owner, and I recorded it. Or I recorded it for the Academy members and upload it if I closed them on Friday, because I need a yes or no from them. But I recorded this sales call and I was on the phone to them. Within 2 minutes of the call, I spilt my water bottle all over my desk, and you can see on the camera, I'm like completely distracted. I'm like screwing up this call. And the only thing that's getting me through the call is me just kind of joking around with him, like communicating with him, but not selling. I'm just like building a rapport with the guy. And I think that's the most important thing. I was literally saying to Joe, I recorded the YouTube video today, which was it was 5 things that I wish I knew before I started my agency. And one of them that Joe said, which is so true, is your service delivery is 50% your client communication. Because you could deliver the best service in the world, but if you have a crap relationship with your clients, you're not going to retain the client, no matter like where the money is. Okay, you're just not going to be able to get those referrals. You're not going to be able to get repeat business. And as an agency owner, when you build good relationships with all your clients, you build good relationships with other people in the industry, opportunities just seem to come your way. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can work on when you're building an agency, is becoming a good, well-rounded communicator, and having the desire to network with other people and meet somebody for free and not ask for any money, and go out of your way to answer the call for your client even when you don't want to, and not look at it as just like, I'm delivering the service, this is you, this is me, and that's it. So instead, putting in that effort so you can build that extra relationship. And so I think that's probably what's propelled you forward in the agency and allowed you to build a 6-figure agency, because you've put in the time to actually do that. So props to you for that.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it's true the other way around as well. You could be a really good communicator and provide a really good service, and do the communication side well, and be not as good as maybe somebody else, but if you're communicating well with your client, that's what people value sometimes. Like, I don't know, if I was buying some other type of service and somebody's going to get back to me lots and communicate with me versus someone who's not, I'd pick that person even if their actual end delivery was slightly less. I think it works both ways.
So you worked for a marketing agency beforehand, which a lot of people didn't. They know lots of people who joined us at the Academy, for example, they had no marketing experience whatsoever. Were there any fundamental lessons that you learned from working for a big agency that you carried across within when you started for yourself, or did you found that there were maybe negative things within an agency that you wanted to do the reverse of?
A bit of both, I guess. I definitely think, like what we were saying, customer service was the heart of the agency I worked for, even to the point of we had to pick up the phone within 3 rings. So if the phone went off, everyone's scrambling to get the phone, email back within an hour, even if it's just to say, thanks so much, got your email, I'll get that all over to you shortly, or thanks so much, we're working on it, or whatever it is, email back within an hour. So yeah, the customer service side of things I really liked, and I took those points. We were a growing agency, going for the ISO quality standards and all of those kind of things as we were growing, and we had big contracts with NHS, Welsh government, and big companies. So there was a lot of processes. And the longer I was there, as I was there, more and more processes got added, and it was good. And I think it's really important to have a process, but I think you can have too much of a process. I'm at a point now, because I didn't take the process side of things as much. I was do you know what? I'll have a bit of a process, but I don't like processes. Yeah. I'm now I need some processes. Yeah. I'm really I've got everything set up, but I don't use it. And I don't know if that's the same as other people. You've got it all there, but you're I'll fill in my spreadsheet later. I'll invoice later. And then it gets to 2 weeks later, and my spreadsheets aren't filled in. I've got 100 invoices to send out. I've got this to do. So I need to be much stricter on my process. So looking back, maybe I should have taken the processes from that agency as well. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say the biggest thing was client care.
That's good. And of course, that's always going to be the most important thing in any business. And I think, and it's sometimes frustrating when I see a lot of people who kind of really, it's hard for when you first start in the business to like recognize that people do need a lot of attention, especially when they're spending a lot of money with you. So you see a lot of new agency owners like, oh, I've got this client who's doing this, I've got this client doing that. They're calling me all the time. They're really bugging me and needing and stuff. And you can set boundaries with somebody, business boundaries, without ruining that relationship. I mean, it's only recently, last 2 weeks, we put together a client communication guide where we say, look, these is the way that we communicate. This is how you can reach us. This is what we're going to provide you with. And it just gives them that comfort that they know how everything is going to work. And so they don't feel the need to have to call you up all the time, because they know that if they need to reach us, they can just send us a WhatsApp. We used to, talking of systemizing, we used to have like a client communication system where we'd all use Slack, which is what we use for the team. But we found that like new companies or people don't want to use that. They can't get a habit of using it. So when they needed us, they just called us anyway. So we just moved everyone over to WhatsApp, which 90% of people use anyway. And we found that to be a really effective way of communicating with clients, just using whatever they're using the most anyway. So yeah, I think sometimes you can over systemize. But I mean, just a bit of advice on my end. The way I found it, because I'm the same as you, I really struggled to implement new systems and stuff and actually make it a habit if I've been doing something else for a long time. But the way I've found for that to really work well is I make the team members use the systems first. So then they have to make it a habit because they're paid to do so. And so then because they're using it, let's say we recently moved over to a task management tool, Monday.com, where now moving over to ClickUp. But using that for me personally was like a really hard thing to get used to. But when the team were forced to do so, it now forces me to do so because it's the only place I can see all the things that need doing.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. I might, because I don't have any main team members at the moment. I'm sort of using lots of freelancers, but I've got a job ad out at the moment for a like full-time person to come on board. So once they get on board, I think I might be like, this is how we do everything. And in my head, I'm thinking, this isn't how I do it, but I'll tell them that's how I do it, and then I'll have to do it.
I want to dive into that, the team and outsourcing type of thing, because I think it's certainly for anyone who's not had a business before, it's quite a harsh learning curve hiring people, and finding the right freelancers and people cocking up and you're losing clients over it. So I want to move on to that, but just before we do, can you give us like a bit of an idea of how you managed to get the clients that you have today? What was your kind of your outreach process looking like? How did you manage to scale the agency to where it is?
Do you know what? It's really weird, because the reason I joined Affluent is because I wanted to learn like sales and outreach and like rapid growth and stuff. But I think the reason I've got to where I am today is like half and half because I've got a really good reputation in my area with like from networking, doing a good job, referrals. I get a lot of referrals. I'll probably get told off. I don't do as much outreach as I should or could do because I just don't need to anymore. I get like daily inquiries, calls saying, oh, you're working with so and so and they told us to give you a call because you're doing a really good job. So yeah, I'd say it's all just referrals, but obviously to somebody who's starting out, they're not going to get those referrals. When I was starting out 4 years ago, I would go on like Upwork or that kind of thing and find the ones that have like given away their company. Because a lot of the time they're just like, we're a company that does something and we need this, and you're like, but who are you? I didn't ever want to use like the Upwork system because you've got to go through their system. So I'd just try and find out who the company is. If it said we're a chocolate factory in Bristol, I'd be like, right, Google that, right, it's obviously them, call them, and then just be like, oh hi, like, are you looking for this? And obviously they're like, yeah, we are actually. So I'd always try and find leads that I knew were already looking for the thing. So that was one thing I did quite a lot. I didn't niche down for quite a long time, and I wish I had, because I was just like kind of trying to contact everyone and anyone, whereas now I've niched into dental and aesthetics, and it just makes things easier because the referrals just come much easier. But yeah, I think it was just, like I said before, I'm not good at like cold calls, but I sort of must have been at one point, because I was calling people and getting jobs. Back then they weren't like the bigger, higher value clients that I have now, but it taught me that process of like calling people and getting them on board.
But it's something you've obviously done really well is building like a reputation. I think a lot of people, when they first start a business, for no reason whatsoever, and probably I did this as well, like not so much in the agency, but the reason why a few of the other businesses I tried beforehand failed is people get like start their own businesses and they get a bit of ego, and so they think they're kind of like, okay, I'm on this, I'm doing my own thing, it's me versus the world and that. And I think that one of the most valuable things that I did when I first started the agency was join a local networking group. There's a networking group called the Avocado Club, and it was, I was invited to go there by one of my other clients. So my first ever client was a restaurant, and Jane, the lady who owned that business, she invited me to this avocado club, and I met loads of other business owners there. And even though I didn't have the reputation yet, I hadn't had all of the case studies, I didn't even know how to run Facebook ads really at this point. I was kind of scrambling my way through. The amount of like conversations and referrals that I was getting there was still a lot, considering the fact that I didn't really have a reputation. And it's just like, I feel like when you speak to someone for the first time and you tell them what it is you do, like, because as human beings, we don't want awkward silence. We want to make conversation again. We naturally want like to have a free-flowing conversation with someone. When you're put in those networking environments, if we speak to someone and the only common ground that we have is the fact that they've told us that they are a marketer, for example, it's like, oh, I know X and X, which will benefit from that. Or I know such and such. And then when you say, oh, great, could you make a referral? After they've already said yes, they can't say no to it or not do it. I found that people give you referrals even though they don't really know you or don't know your credibility or whatever, just because of the fact that they're trying to build a bit of rapport for you, because you're put in one of those situations where you're there to do that. So I think networking events are really, really valuable tools. And so many people say they're a waste of time, but they're really not, especially if you're starting local.
Oh, where have you gone? There you are. Yeah, no, one of my screens just like went across, and I was like,
that's right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I know like a lot of people hate BNI. I joined BNI and got quite a lot out of it at the beginning. I joined other local networking groups. I joined a like startup community co-working space, that kind of thing. They have private offices as well, but they have a co-working space which I started in and like just spoke to everybody. I can really clearly remember like my first day there, and there was a group of people all having a chat over there, and it was my first day and my space was like the other side of the room. And I remember thinking like, right, here's your chance. You can either sit here and that's probably how you're going to run your business forever, just sat on your own, or you can, get some courage and go over and talk to those people. And I can really clearly remember that decision in my head, like, do I go or do I not? Do I go or do I not? And I was like, just go and talk to them. And I went over, and now I'm kind of like quite a like central part of that community. Like I do lots of training for the others. I like help the small businesses on their journeys and stuff. So yeah, definitely networking is my biggest like way of my biggest tip to small businesses, just talk to people.
Just get yourself out there, just let people know what you're doing. That's why when people join the academy, I always say to them, look, what you need to do is put a post out and use your network, put a post out saying, hey, look, I need your help. This is what I'm doing. I'm starting a marketing agency. This is the service I'm offering. Does anybody know any business owners? And you'll just be surprised how many people come out of the woodwork just because people want to feel part of something. So guys, get out there and go networking. So talking about other people and getting in the mix and bringing other people on board and stuff. So one of the biggest things that I've found, one of our pivotal points in the agency was building a really effective team, to the point where like sometimes like I don't even know what's going on. Like Joe messaged me yesterday and he was like, Jordan, we've had another record month in the agency and we've almost doubled our revenue in 2 months than we did in February. And that's all happened without me. I've worked on getting inbound leads into the company, but they're closing them, they're delivering the services. Every client is extremely happy. I just hear all the good stuff. And so I never even realized the true benefit of having an incredible team until I had one and I just stumbled across it. So you've worked for a marketing agency. You know the value of having a team because you've been one of those team members that made a marketing agency great. How are you now finding outsourcing? Have you had struggles of outsourcing? What are the mistakes you've made? And what's that looking like now? Who are you looking to hire and what are they going to do for you?
Cool. So yeah, a couple of years ago when I started getting really busy and was hitting like a kind of 6-figure rate month to month, I was like, I don't know how I'm doing this all myself. I need help. So my best friend at the time was not enjoying his job and he'd done influencer marketing for a company. So even though he didn't have like too much experience in what I was trying to build, I was like, oh, it's kind of enough. And he was good at project management and that kind of thing. So I brought him on board. It didn't work out. not because we're friends. A lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't have friends in business. My other business that I have is with one of my best friends. That's going fine. I've done projects with friends in the past and it's been absolutely fine. So I don't think it's because of that, but it just didn't work out for other reasons. I also, my boyfriend at the time was in SEO. And I was like, great, I can offer that service and he can do that. So I had him doing that. When we broke up, I was then like, I haven't got anyone doing like to pass that stuff to anymore. So it was a bit tricky. I think I just made like easy decisions at the time, like, oh, I'll get my friend and my boyfriend, without thinking like long term work out. So after that, my agency literally collapsed to like nothing because of the person that I had on, my friend that I had on board was basically just like not doing any work. And I trusted that he was. Once I then took a look and was like, hold on, I've taken a step back. I'm going to take a step back into the business and see what's going on. And all my clients were like really unhappy. So the lesson I learned there was that I kind of stepped away too much without keeping an eye on what was going on for a longer period of time. So that didn't work out. And I basically was having emails like, oh, hi, we're not going to carry on, like daily. And I was like, I'm in trouble. And there was this point, I just bought this house as well, because I'd I'd broken up with like my long-term partner. So I'd like left my house, had to buy my own house on my own, everything was on me. And then when you're all the finances and you've got a child and you've got a new mortgage to pay for and all your clients emailing you saying we're done, I was suddenly like, what do I do? Do I get a job or do I bounce back and build this up again? And obviously I was on like Indeed every night, like I'm just gonna get a job, but no, I bounced back. I got more clients in, I kind of started again. I learned from the mistakes that I'd made, so I was basically like back at zero and just built it up again. So the last couple of years I've just built it up. I have had times as well where I've outsourced to freelancers, they've not done a good job and I've had to just do it again myself, but I've just paid them anyway and been like, let's just learn from that. So this is where I kind of like scaled back down, because I was then doing everything myself again. I couldn't scale up and I was too scared to outsource, too scared to bring anyone on because I'd had bad experiences. So I was doing that for about a year then, just basically back to being a freelancer, and then getting back into freelancer mentality where I'm just picking any job I can. If somebody's like, oh, can you, is there anyone who can design a leaflet? I'd be like, well, I can design a leaflet. Yeah, I'll design a leaflet. And it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's taken me a long time to like get back out of freelancer mentality and back into growing the agency mentality, which is where I then joined Affluent, because I thought, right, I want an agency. I don't want to be a freelancer, like tooting around for little random jobs here and there, not knowing where my next money is coming from. I want what I started. Like, I want that again. So I started outsourcing again, and the biggest kind of amount of outsourcing happened over Christmas and New Year when I had COVID. And I was like, I physically cannot do the work and I have to deliver this project. I either tell the client it's not happening, or I start outsourcing. So I started outsourcing, and I was like really ill, but I could send emails obviously to just say, can you do this? Can you do that? And then I was like, oh my God, I'm sat here, they're doing the work for me, I'm still getting paid like a big chunk of money and they're getting paid this much money, and I'm really ill, so I'm not enjoying it. But I was suddenly like, this is easy, why have I not been doing this all along before? And then I found like the people that I trust. That was actually for a web project, because I do like website builds as well, but that was for a web project. And then I was like, I could carry this into my Facebook ads and advertising stuff as well. Like, why have I not been doing this? It's so much better to just manage things and outsource the bits that I was like, what is wrong with me? So I started doing that again, slowly building things up and finding the right people for that, because I've got, for the website of stuff, like I've got a trusted group now, but for the Facebook and advertising side of things, I'm still looking for like the right people. I've got job ad out at the moment for like just an assistant to just help, because like I want to use VAs, but I think it is just a trust thing with me. And because the amount of tasks I've got for a virtual assistant is quite a lot, so I thought, you know what, just get a full-time like junior in to just do all my bits and bobs. So I've got that out at the moment. And yeah, I'm so excited to grow. I'm still got that like nerves of like I'm responsible for someone else's salary every month, but it's just exciting now.
For sure, it's such an exciting point to get in the business when you kind of realize, okay, I know the kind of person I should be looking for now. And I feel like a lot of people you need to go through those mistakes. And I think that so many people can tell you all the rules to hiring, but you kind of have to look past them and learn for yourself before you then find out. I mean, I've made so many wrong hires. I know I've had freelance after freelance to screw up. But it's only really until we decide, okay, let's hire based on personality, not on skill, because we can nurture and we can teach skills, but we can't teach personality. When we started doing that, and I stopped trying to hire myself, everything changed in the business. I was trying to hire replicas of myself, and then I just was kind of like, Jesus, is this actually what I'm like? Like I'm hiring someone that thinks like me, and they're doing a shit job, and their attitude's wrong, and I'm like, this isn't going to work because we're not bouncing off each other, we're clashing with each other. And so that was such a pivotal point in our business. And I think that one massive thing that helped as well, if you are looking to take someone with the Facebook ad side as well at some point, then it was incentivizing those team members. So we actually give our team members like a very small percentage of the return on ad spend they get for all of our clients. And also I met one of my friends, Aviaya, he owns one of the biggest digital marketing agencies in India. They have like almost 400 employees they had at the point, and they had Hilton, Ramada, all of these big hotel chains, hospitality chains on their books. And one of the biggest things I learned from him is he said that if you give client relationships as a responsibility to every single person that's dealing with the clients individually, then you have such better, well-rounded relationships with every single client, because they're no longer speaking to you, they're speaking to Tom, they're speaking to Seb, they're speaking to Joe, they're speaking to one person who they can build a really good relationship with, who's not just a small cog in that business, because then that person feels like they have a lot of responsibility as well, which they do. So in a way, they're like business owners within your business, and then they feel like they're part of something. And so they're not just fobbing it off like every month I'm just getting paid my salary, it doesn't matter how this client goes. They're responsible for making sure that everybody is happy in the company. And there's something that's really benefited us, and it's something that everybody ultimately needs to understand and get to within their company. Because I think even when I first started, I thought, do you know what? This is laptop lifestyle. I'm gonna start an agency. I'm gonna make 10 grand a month, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go on all these holidays. And then like I realized I got to that point, and then you're busy as hell. Like you're running around for everything, and then you suddenly can't sell anymore, or your service starts slipping. And there's this point where you need to decide: do I want to stay a freelancer and stick around a certain price point, or do I want to build a business that actually gives me complete stability long term, because I don't actually have to, it doesn't depend on me anymore, and it just becomes its organism. And I think once you get to that point, and it is hard getting to that point because of trust, I think that you've truly got something amazing that'll last a lifetime, as long as you don't cock it up and as long as you keep growing as a company and keep taking on new people.
Yeah, I think that's so true. That's such good advice as well. I think I'm sort of like, I'm always doing this, like freelancer agency, but I know I'm like made for more than what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm just like growing and keeping going.
The most amazing thing is you're at an incredible position, and the blessing that you have is you still don't see yourself. You're like, I'm made for so much more. But actually what you are right now is what so many thousands of people who are watching this could dream of being, right? So that like you're already at the point that they really desperately want to be at. And so you need to give yourself credit for that. And also just like, I do sense that you've probably still got a bit of imposter syndrome with the whole freelancing. Like you're an agency owner and you're bossing it. Like you're bossing it. You've got a daughter, you're juggling that. You're smashing the business. You've got happy clients, and you're doing it all by yourself. So you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, that is true. One of the things I always say to like the other business owners, like I mentioned, I sort of coach small business owners, just, help them. I always say about celebrating success and like, celebrating the small wins, but I never do it for myself. I'm always hard on myself, but I never celebrate anything for myself.
I'm the same though. Like, I think all like people, like truly successful business owners, like they do like, they are hard on themselves, and they are the biggest critiques, and they don't maybe celebrate as much as they should. And when they do get to a goal, let's say in the business, like I know that you said, you actually said to me before, or I think you actually sent over to me, you once planned like a 6K month in your agency. You wanted to make 6 grand, and then you actually made 8K within 2 weeks of that month. So like it's like you set this target for 6K, you then made 8K within 2 weeks. But like, I'm sure for you as a business owner, even then you exceeded your target, but it still didn't feel like you had like achieved anything. You were like, okay, what's next? What's the next thing? What am I going to do next month?
Yeah, that's so true. Because that was only very recently. I was like, I have like a business coach that I sit down with once every couple of weeks, and he was like, right, what's your targets? What's this? I said, right, I'll go for 6 because I've got stuff going on. And then I was like, no, do you know what? Let's make it 8. And then 2 weeks in, I was like, oh my God, I've hit my target and it's only halfway through the month. And
nice.
So I was like, wow. But then as soon as I had that moment of realization of like, wow, I've done it. I wasn't like, let's go have a part. I was like, right, what's next? Like back down to, and then, it's funny. My boyfriend got a pay rise this month. But he was like, he kind of jokes around. He's like, it's probably nothing for you because like you get a pay rise basically like every month, like every time you sign a new client, that's a pay rise for you. But with him, I was so proud. I was like, what should we do? Should we have like a meal? Should we do this? And then I thought about it and I was like, you are right. I get a pay rise essentially like every month or every time I sign a new client. That's a pay rise or a pay rise for the business. But I'm not like, let's go out, let's have a meal, let's celebrate. With him, I was so proud, but I'm never proud of myself for the little things that I'm always doing. So I think it's a lesson to celebrate the wins every time.
Definitely. Don't be afraid to celebrate your own wins. But I really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a really, really nice chat. And it's been nice to have a completely different perspective on everything, because you've come from a very different place to so many other people in this interview. And I really hope this has been valuable to everyone who's watched this. Like, I know it's been 4 years since you started, but if you could take yourself back to a place when you first started, because a lot of people who are watching this they're literally just starting out. And some people will be watching this thinking, do you know what? I just wish I can get myself to the 2 or 3 clients point. Some people might even be like ready to give up. Others might just be thinking, do you know what? I'm on the fence. I want to jump into this. What would you say to somebody who's just starting out? What would you say to that person who wants to build a successful agency? And they can maybe just bang their head against the door. They've got that imposter syndrome. They haven't got started yet, and they need that push.
Do you know what? I would say, it sounds like obvious, like everyone's going to say this, but like, just do it. What have you got to lose? I had everything to lose every single time I've, made decisions. I've got everything to lose. Like, I've got a daughter running around, a cat, house that I've got to pay for. I've got so much that like I'm relying on me, but every time I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. There's so much potential. If someone else can do it, then why can't I do it? So I'd absolutely go for it. One thing I wanted to mention was about always being like yourself in everything you do. So not always just following this like script in this process exactly, because you've got to tailor it to you. Another reason I think I've done really well, and when I ask my clients like why, how are things going, they always just say, we really like you, we love working with you. They don't say like, oh, we loved the process you did, or we loved the script you followed when you called us. Like, they don't say that. They say we love working with you because it's me, and that's like my USP of my agency, is that I'm the face and I lead it, and that's what they buy into. So don't be afraid to let like your personality shine in your business. When you're on calls with people and you've got your scripts to follow, if there's a bit which you would say slightly differently, or you need to adapt to you, don't be afraid to do that and make it your own. At the end of the day, this is your business you're building. It's no one else's business, and build it in your way.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And that's such good advice for everyone, because I always say, like, I could give you the framework, I can give you the script, I can give you the strategy, but just use it as like goalposts. Think of the meeting strategy as like goalposts, and you get your, as long as you're following the structure, just get yourself to those goalposts in whatever way that you need to get yourself there. Be yourself. And that's the most important thing, because if you're not authentically yourself when you're selling or when you're speaking to people, then they're going to see right through it and they're not going to trust you. And so if you be yourself, build a good relationship with people, don't be afraid to introduce your quirks, to be, or like we have Jay, who's in the course, Jay Wells, and shout out to Jay. He's built a very successful agency. The guy's an absolute potty mouth. Like, he says the most controversial things. And at the start of meeting the guy, I was like, how is this guy ever going to build an agency? And he's so successful now, and he's smashing it because his clients get him and they understand him. Like, they have a good rapport and they love that he's unapologetically himself. And he put his middle finger up to all of the norms in like starting a company. And I think that's great, because he's had the confidence to do that. So guys, take from this interview, what Frankie has done is she's built great relationships with the people around her. She's networked her way to where she is now, and she's just been herself. So Frankie, thank you so much for this interview. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to catch up with you to see how you're getting on in a couple of months' time. We'll do an interview on the hub or something. We're trying to do like a 6-month check-in with everybody that we do on with. So like a textual interview. If people want to see more about yourself and the business, where can they find you? I'll put some links in the description.
Yeah, I'll pop some links. I'm quite active on Twitter, Instagram, on like personal and business. So either at Francesca Irving or at Lunax Digital. Obviously, we'll put the links below for you. On the Facebook group, if you're on the group, you can connect with me on there. I'm quite active on social media, depending on what else is going on in my life. But yeah, definitely let's connect and keep in touch.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Frankie, and so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all soon.
Ooh, thanks so much for having me on.
Cheers.